Welcome back, family, to Family Matters and our team Bible study. We are now going to be covering Psalms 29, but we do have to cover the questions that we covered last week in Psalms 28. Psalms 28, the first question was, have you ever felt like no one understood what you were going through? And the answer is most teens do at some point. At some point as a teenager, I remember when I was a teenager, and I'm sure many of you that are teens, you probably often feel like people don't understand you or don't understand the things that you're going through or why you act the way that you do in certain circumstances. Just like David, we can cry out to God who always listens and understands perfectly all the time. Question number two is, why is it dangerous to pretend to be someone you're not, like those David describes in verse number 3? When you pretend to be someone you're not, it can lead to broken trust and unfortunate consequences. God values honesty and sincerity of heart, and that's what you want to seek to be, no matter what examples or patterns that have been put before you. If your parent has you listening to these Bible study lessons weekly, their desire is for you to develop the right type of character and the right type of behavior, and not that's right in the eyes of anyone else other than God. They want you to be pleasing in the sight of God. So that's why you're here, and that's why you want to develop behavior, not pretend to be something you're not, but you want to be honest and you want to have a sincere heart. Our third and final question from last week is, what should we do when we receive help from God? We should respond with gratitude and praise, just as David did, by rejoicing in God's faithfulness. God is so very faithful, so very faithful. All right, today we are covering Psalms 29. The teen topic this week is recognizing the power and majesty of God. Ooh, God is so powerful and magnificent. So that's what you want to do. I want you to try to seek in every way you can. Say, God, show me your power and your majesty. Turn that into a prayer so that you can recognize God, so I can recognize you. And our memory verse for this week, again coming out of the NIV, is Psalms 29:4. It says, the voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is majestic. All right, before we get into the questions, I'm now going to read Psalms 29, okay? And we'll go from there. Psalms 29. Let's see what it's saying. We know it's saying something wonderful. It says, ascribe to the Lord glory, a psalm of David. Ascribe to the Lord, O heavenly beings. Ascribe to the Lord glory and strength. Ascribe to the Lord the glory due his name. Worship the Lord in the splendor of holiness. The voices of the Lord is over the waters. The God of glory thunders. The Lord over many waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. The voice of the Lord breaks the cedars. The Lord breaks the cedars of Lebanon. He makes Lebanon to leap like a calf, and Syrian like a young wild ox. The voice of the Lord flashes forth flames of fire. The voice of the Lord shakes the wilderness, and the Lord shakes the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of the Lord makes the deer give birth and strips the forest bare. And in his temple all cry, glory. The Lord sits enthroned over the flood. The Lord sits enthroned as king forever. May the Lord give strength to his people. May the Lord bless his people with peace. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his word. All right, wasn't that beautiful? Wasn't that a beautiful Psalms? Just think, we want to recognize the power and the majesty of God, and we want to worship him and praise him and give him glory. Remember, that's what we want to do. That's the character that we want to build. That's the kind of person we want to be. Okay? So the questions that we have for this week for Psalms 29 for you and your parents to read the Psalms together and go over and answer. And when you come back next week, I'll have the answer to those questions. The first question is, what does this psalm teach us about God's voice? I like that. What does this psalm teach us about God's voice? Question number 2. How can noticing God's power in nature increase our trust in him? How can noticing God's power in nature increase our trust in him? And the third and final question for this week out of Psalms 29 is, what does verse 11 tell us God gives his people? Question number 3, what does verse number 11 tell us God gives his people? May God richly bless you guys. And I pray for you and your family. I pray Elijah, Princeton, and Ivy and friends have enjoyed this week. And I pray for your blessings and safety. I look forward to next week when we come together to cover Psalms 30. And I love you, and I look forward to seeing you next week. May God richly bless you.